Welcome into another episode of the Picayune Maroon Tide Preview Podcast. This week, we'll be breaking down Picayune's first round playoff matchup against the George County Rebels. We'll then hear from first year George County football coach Kelly Causey, and then we'll close things out with WRBE radio personality Bruce Thornton. We appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoy.
Me and Slick set to talk about this week's matchup. A one seed in our Picayune Maroon Tide, who have certainly earned that and earned home field advantage in these first couple of rounds at least. We'll pray that something would pop and that potentially we be at Lee Triplet Stadium even for round three. But it's important for the coaching staff and, of course, for the young men not to look past this Friday night. And it will be nice to be in the friendly confines of Lee Triplet Stadium. And Slick, kind of tell us what you know about the 4 seed in George County.
Well, we know George County lost a lot of players from last year, a lot of skilled guys. Of course, Deuce Knight, he hurled into the job as a freshman, so he's been there for a long time. So just hadn't been a lot of snaps for anybody else to take at that position. But junior quarterback Wyatt Spidell, he's going to be their guy as their signal caller. 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year. We get Brandon Gaucher back. He's our running back. We don't know. He got dinged up in a game a couple weeks back. I don't know if we'll see him or not, but he's been their leading rusher. Actually eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark last year for the first time in a long time that George County had a 1,000-yard rusher. Of course, a lot of that having to do with Deuce Knight and the yards that he could put up. So those 2 guys are going to be kind of manning that backfield. You get DJ McNair back. We would recognize him from a year ago, and junior Grant Reeves, baseball kid. We got to cover him. You probably would recognize that name. He's actually got 5 of those touchdown catches at the wide receiver spot. So you lost some skill players, but 14 takeaways on the defense too. So these guys have been able to get some takeaways. And you look at their record, it's kind of the year, Clay, where you can throw records out the window. Some weird kind of things that showed up to me in their schedule. So 28-21 win over Wayne County. That's the 2 seed in Region 5. And then the 1 seed, Stone County, they beat them 13-0. So they might be the 5A state district champs coming into the playoffs with the teams they beat. That's a couple of playoff teams. And then you look at the fact that West Jones beat them pretty bad, but West Jones won a 48-49 ball game over Wayne County. So that's a head scratcher in itself. They played pretty well against Terry. That's another tough district opponent. They lost that one 27-20 and lost a 42-21 matchup to Hattiesburg, but it was 21-21 for a while. So those are some things you kind of think about. And I think everybody's aware of what happened last week. Made 2 trips to Jackson to play Forest Hill. Didn't realize the game was canceled and had to go back again. So that's kind of tough in itself, but it's a different looking offense than we're used to seeing from this George County team. They'll run some shotgun, but they'll also get under center and I formation, and they've had their most success out of that look this year.
Yeah, it's kind of an oddity, right, Rick? Normally in today's age, whether it be high school or college, once you see a team in shotgun, they kind of live there. Even in goal line situations, we've seen shotgun teams stay shotgun. And of course, you see the Tide, they're under center and they're under center. Normally, you don't see a mix like this. I always kind of lean on you for stronger football opinions. You know the game better than I do. That's just an oddity. I don't know the rhyme or reason. It certainly makes a defense kind of prepare for 2 different looks.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And one of the things that jumped out to me on film is go back to the Hattiesburg game, and that's going to be a very good opponent in the 6A rankings, and big defense up front. You see George County run 3 or 4 direct snaps out of shotgun, just trying to move the ball, but they go under center I formation and was able to move some lumber and open up a hole, broke a big long touchdown run against Hattiesburg. So they have some guys up front that can move and open up some holes. It probably has been an adjustment for them, but we've seen them get a little bit better with that each week.
It's crazy to catch George County in this game. You kind of mentioned the recent history. We felt like we were preparing for Deuce Knight. It felt like every 4 or 5 weeks since when he was there were some years where we would see Deuce Night twice in those seasons, a new staff, a new offense. So the name, the jerseys, all that going to be really familiar, but a really different looking club. So we'll see how the Tide, how that changes, because you can get in a habit of preparing and doing, but this is a different setup for the Rebels.
Yeah, and I think the way the Rebels have really played it this year is looking at their matchup and what they think they can do, right? So we could see it all. We could see some shotgun. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I think the running game for them, we may see a little bit of that too, and that's something that Picayune is used to practicing against every day, right? It's kind of a similar look to our offense. Sometimes they'll have a wing, sometimes they'll have two tight ends, and sometimes they'll sneak that wing back out, similar to what we do in the passing game. We've seen them break some long touchdown passes on that. So got to really be prepared for everything.
Idle doesn't look to be kind of that dual threat guy. Just don't see that in the old huddle machine. And the dual threat guys have given the Tide trouble this year. I mean, that's just being honest, calling it like we see it. You won't see that out of him. Now, there may be a wildcat situation. There may be a switch in there somewhere. But if it's number 10, the junior, he's more looking to, when he drops back to throw, he's looking to throw the football. And so that will kind of be a week off from that type of mindset defensively for the Tide. When he drops back, most of the time he's looking to throw it down the field.
Yeah, and when they get in that I formation, we've seen them with just one wide receiver out in covers. That's it. So a lot of times the shotgun, they'll have two backs next to him, but we haven't seen them come out in any type of a spread type look. But again, it's the playoffs, and who knows, right? Got to be ready for everything.
Yeah, and we've seen a ton. We talk about Knight. We've seen a ton of Gaucher. This is a kid who has been running the ball for George County for a long time now. You mentioned him going over the 1,000-yard mark. He's a very good back. You mentioned the leg injury, lower body injury that he suffered, I guess, a game and a half ago, and we'll see how much he's available, if available at all. That would certainly change the complexion of this team. You would think, and that you could argue this because all I've seen is Tate, but probably their best offensive player.
Oh, by far, he's going to be their best offensive player, and I think McNair's one of those guys. Reeves has got better numbers at the wide receiver spot than he does, but one of those guys, he and McNair and Gaucher both put up really good numbers in that West Jones playoff win a year ago. That was a couple guys that we were paying special attention to in the second round when we had George County. So that's two guys we'll have to look out for. But been just a weird path for George County this year. You mentioned their win over Jim Hill. Jim Hill's only win was against Forest Hill, who beat George County to end the regular season. Had to win by at least or not lose by 9, and they lost by 7. So it was still able to get that 4 seed. But at this point in time, Cody Steigner says it every week. We're all 0. Everything's in front of everybody right now. So you throw all the records and the routes out, and it's just you got to be ready to play playoff football. It's win or go home.
And regardless of the opponent, Rick, this week, it'll really be more about the response for the Tide. You lose to your rival in Pro River Central in a game that didn't have any impact at all and what this matchup was going to be. But that's a game that stings. It hurts. But what will the response from the Maroon Tide be from that loss last Thursday night?
Yeah, that's a really good point too. And looking back at that game, really just got dominated in the first half. I mean, you're down 21-0, and could have been worse than that. But the fact that they fought back and had a chance to go in for the go ahead score, this team really never feels that they're out of it. And you can say that's a culture thing, but it takes coaches to build that culture. I think the coaches made great adjustments, and I thought our linebacker and secondary play was a lot better in the second half as well. And I think we need to see more of that. Guys that we were calling their names that we haven't caught a ton this year, we're certainly making some big plays.
Yeah, that's a good point. Brody Kirkland, Grayson Alls got in the mix, made some good things happen from that linebacker core. along with Amari Scott. Going to have to do it from start to finish now. There's no do-overs, no mulligans once this playoff action starts. That's what makes it really special this time of year. And let's look at the defensive side for George County. You talked about the win over Stone. If Max Preps is right, and they are about 90% of the time. That was a shutout win against a Coach Acock team in Stone that you mentioned, one district. That was a good football team in Stone that somehow this defense was able to pitch a shutout against.
Yeah, defense has really kept them in ball games. We mentioned them holding Hattiesburg for about a half of a football. It's a tie ball game. We know how
Hattiesburg looks good
scrappy.
again,
Yeah,
huh? I
Hattiesburg looks
mean,
good
Keys is
again.
still out there. He's got some dudes beside him. He's got a new quarterback pulling a trigger, and when you watch them, they are just as explosive as they were last year, in my opinion.
No doubt, man. And George County, 9 interceptions. They've gotten 5 fumble recoveries. And they've got some guys that can get after you and get in the backfield too. You look at a guy like Freifogel for them. He's their sack leader. He's a junior. We say it every year. There's always one on the roster, right? They got some Fairleys on there too. A couple of those guys. So they got some guys that can tackle and can get in the backfield. I mean, that's always a tough group defensively, kind of a hard nosed type mentality from a defense. So we'll have to make sure we're on our game and staying on our blocks this Friday night.
Be interesting to see how the O line, the fullbacks, that whole kind of running operation responds for the Tide. There were times a week ago in the loss where we really needed to run the football and honestly just didn't get the job done. We haven't said that maybe all year long, right? There's been some deficiencies even with this great 8-2 record from the Tide, but being able to run the football really hasn't been one of them. But last week there were times where we needed 4 or 5 yards and just weren't able to get it on the ground. So I'll be anxious to see kind of how that O line and the fullback position responds on the ground game for the Tide. Have been great all year. We're averaging nearly 400 yards rushing coming in to that game last week. Last Thursday, we're well under that mark a week ago.
Yeah, we were definitely below our mark, but big congrats to Zay Dennis, 2,000 yard rusher. That's not an easy thing to do, and of course, Big Mitchell Smith with winning Mr. Football 6A. He and that offensive line gonna have to be very good Friday night.
Yeah, man, great catch by you. That was an awesome honor, right, for Mitchell Smith. You just don't see offensive linemen name that. I mean, me and you've talked about it a ton since it came out. I guess that came out on Friday of last week that it would indeed was going to be Mitchell Smith for 6A. Boy, oh boy, what an honor to be named that from that offensive line spot. Just really doesn't happen. Tip of the cap also to Ty Keys on the 4A level. A great young man, a phenomenal football player. We saw that, of course, firsthand earlier in that matchup. What a salute to the county to have two kids all across the state. Basically, the most prestigious thing you can be named in your classification, and Pearl River County doubles up, gets one on the 4A level and on the 6A level.
Yeah, man, you got to go back pretty far. I don't even know if someone can name the last time an offensive lineman won Mr. Football at any level. I tried to get AI to help me, and it's stumped AI. It's just hard to find if it's happened at all, but I'm sure it has at some point, but just not in recent knowledge.
No, and look, we've said it, we've called upon him and Nolan time and time again, and for good reason. And I mean, with great accolades come great responsibility on both sides of the ball. Those guys are going to have to lead out. You've got two SEC talents. They're going to have to lead the way for the Tide. Tide, you've talked about Cody's quotes of going 1-0 every week. Tide going to have to put those together 4 times in a row to get to the ultimate goal. And I think this was a state championship or type bust team coming into the year. I still believe that is the Tide's expectations. I think anything kind of less than that won't sit well with this group, and that's a really good place to be as we head into the playoff stretch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the standards are always super high, and taking a loss, you mentioned already to your county rival, that's always stings a little bit more than a normal loss would. But as we've heard Coach Steiner say a lot, everything is still ahead in front of us. We didn't take any steps backwards with where we're sitting at. Still the one seed, and still going to go in with the same record as everyone else in the playoffs. And but as you said, it's do or die time now.
Yeah, and you probably checked a lot of the team goals along the way. You win district, you're the one seed. That big check box at the end still sitting out there. Some things, Slick, that you look from the Tide perspective. If the Tide's going to go 4-0 over the next month, get crowned champs in Starkville, a couple of areas that you would say, boy, that group really flipped the switch. They took a deficiency or a spot that we had question marks, and then in this playoff run really got hot and played good football. What would be a couple areas that you would kind of highlight for the Tide?
I think it's the groups that we've talked about, that kind of back half of the defense continue to be where they're supposed to be, wrap up, make those tackles that they can, and we saw some flashes of that in the second half last week. That's important, and I think offensively, you kind of almost know that you're going to see loaded boxes. You know that teams are looking at this full season of film and what people have done and trying to figure out what can we do with our personnel. I think if you go to some throwing downs early in those short yarded situations, you can take a little pressure and maybe loosen that defense up a little bit. That's some things I'd like to see from the Tide coming out.
Yeah, man, it'd be good to see two Fortenberry really make an impact. We've seen stretches of that. He's been good in the kick return game. We've seen him return one for the touchdown. We've seen him make nice catches. One in particular against Papa Brill stands out that he was able to grab, get his feet where they needed to be before going out of the back of the end zone. But maybe two shows up in a big way down this stretch and becomes a factor for the Tide.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think he and Wilkins has been a little bit quiet lately. Like to see more from him, and boy, Hawthorne's been pretty good running the ball and catching the ball as well.
Yeah, Jordan and Jamari, either one of them gets smoking hot, the Tide going to be off to good things. And we really expect that from this club. We'll be locked in, ready. So, look, I can't wait to call it. There's something special about playoff football in Lee Triplet Stadium. And we'll be there on Friday night, ready for the call. That'll be a 6:30 Mossy of Picayune pregame show. I can't wait until that point. Love God, love people.
My first year George County football head coach, Coach Kelly Causey. Coach, again, thanks a lot for carving out your time. I know you've had a busy week, and we certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Coach, I know you're new to our show here on our preview episode, and I want to just get to know you a little bit more for our listeners. A lot of coaching experience that you bring in, been on the staff, but first time as a head coach here at George County, had some stops really up and down the coast, some stops at some colleges as well. And one of the things that was really cool that I read in one of the articles was that you mentioned, I didn't graduate from here, but my dad did, and I want to make him proud at his alma mater. So tell us a little bit about that family connection, and also about some other people that have had a big impact on you throughout your coaching career.
Well, my dad, yeah, he graduated from here back in '62, I believe it was, and then went on to sign with Mississippi State, and then ended up at Delta State. And of course, that's where him and my mom married, and that's where I was born and raised. Played there at Cleveland, and then played at Mississippi Delta, and then played at Delta State. But coming here, I mean, he used to come to all the class reunions, even when he was in his 70s, right before he passed away. And they were really good back when he played. And so not a whole lot of people here, because he would be in his 80s now, that are here, but there are a few. And, he always talked about it and all that kind of stuff. I never actually really got to come here when he was coming to those reunions. But when I was head coach at St. Martin, we played here. some, and so I did know a little bit about it. So extremely happy about the opportunity. Then coaching wise, really Coach Wookie Gray, who was at Mississippi Delta, who won a national championship in I believe it was '93. That's my uncle, and so he was a big factor in me wanting to get into coaching and do all that kind of stuff. And when I left Delta State, I was up at Arkansas State University under Ricky Herzog, working with the DBs, and actually the head coach was Ray Perkins, and that was a big honor to work under him, learn from him a little bit. He was only there that 1 year, and then went back to the Packers, not the Packers, I'm sorry, with the Patriots, and but from there I got on with at Biloxi with John Williams, who was the head coach at Mississippi College when they won it all, and worked for him for about 7 years. I mean 6 years, and I learned a lot from him. So. Coach Gray and Coach Williams. And then I had the opportunity to work with Coach Hudspeth at North Alabama, which me and him were roommates in college. So we kind of knew each other anyway. And so I learned a lot from him also. But those three guys are probably the ones that, I try to, that my coaching style and, how I treat others stuff, I learned from those three guys.
That's awesome, Coach. That's a lot of big names, and it sounds like you had some really good influences there throughout your career. Coach, looking at the team this year, you lose a lot. I know from last year, just a handful of starters back on offense and defense, and certainly Deuce McKnight's don't grow on trees, and the weapons
Yeah.
he has around him don't either. But what have you liked about the junior signal caller and Speidel, who stepped in and had some big shoes to fill?
Yeah, I mean he has. He got to play some games last year. Played against Hattiesburg and some other games that he did a good job of just doing the things that he needs to do. So he's done a good job for us. We try not to we try to keep things in our wheelhouse of things that we can do. Like you said, we don't have. I mean, he's just not Deuce Knight. I mean, that's the bottom line. So we're not trying to do anything that is overbearing, and he's done a good job, getting the ball where he needs to get it. And so, he's done the best job we can, and we're happy we're in this position. The season hadn't quite go the way it wanted to for us. You always want to win a few more ball games than what we have, but I will say this: from week one when we started this year. We're a different ball club from then. We've gotten better from week to week, and last week with the Thursday debacle that we had, it was kind of a weird game, but we've gotten better each week, and that's all you can ask. You want these kids to go out there and play their butts off, and I think they have, and they've continued to prove. We've had adversity, but we fought through it, and so we made the playoffs, and that's one of the goals we had.
Coach, you mentioned the record. To me, this is the year where I think records don't really mean a whole lot. Just looking at a couple of the wins, that's a one seed with Stone County.
Right.
Wayne County was a 2 seed, and then boy, I mean Terry's tough as nails. Everyone knows that, but played a tough game against Terry, and then you look at the Hattiesburg game, and that's a 21-21 ball game for a while there. But what really jumped out to me is I thought I was looking at the wrong color maroon. I had to look at the helmet to make sure we had the right team on. That I formation and run and attack, that's not something we've seen a lot from George County. But speak a little bit to what you think with your offensive line play and how they've grown this year and look like a pretty good fullback that's been leading the way for Gaucher.
Right. Well, we went into the season, knowing that we couldn't really do what we'd done in the past. I mean, we just didn't have the horses to kind of do that. So, and George County has always been a place where they've been known as being a physical team, just like Picayune is. Picayune's, you're going to get hit in the mouth. And so we've kind of, challenged the kids to try to get back to that. As far as the O-line, we only have one senior. I think we have We've got a big ninth grade group, and I think I counted the other day when we were practicing. I think it's 19 offensive linemen that were working out, and only one is a senior. And so a lot of those guys had experience from last year as sophomores. And so, really, I mean, we went into the season knowing that we were going to have to lean on the offensive line was going to need to be, our bell cow in some degree. And they've answered the bell. They really have, and done a great job. And with a fullback was a kid that played a little bit as outside linebacker and kind of moved him there, and he's done a really, really good job. And then, of course, Gaucher's Gaucher. He's just an unbelievable talent. I think he's going to do a good job at the next level. And, when you play teams, I think Coach Terry after the game said, "Hey, we ain't faced a running back like that," So he's the real deal. And if you give him a little bit of spot, he's going to do what he's got to do with it, similar to what y'all's kid does.
Coach, you bring up a good point there with the running back style, and I see the same thing out of Gaucher on film. We know we're in the era now of schools that just spread it out, shotgun, and everybody throws it. When you play a team that's a little more physical, runs a couple tight ends or a tight end and a wing back, and just kind of punches you, schools just aren't really made for that. Knowing that the style that Picayune runs and now running that yourself, how do you think that factors into kind of helping the guys prepare this week?
I think it's going to help us prepare a little bit. I mean, it's we're not quite, we're still working to get to the level of, the Picayune teams on a regular basis and the physicality that they are. But we are a physical team, and I'm proud of the progress we've made. And but you're right. In the past, when you're a spread team and you go over there and you face a team that does that, you don't really get that in practice a lot. It's kind of hard to simulate. So that probably would be our, one of the assets we have is the fact of the way we practice and the way our offense is. It's in, the similar type of offense to some degree on the fact that you're kind of flat back coming off the ball. And so it definitely is going to help us a little bit, no doubt.
Coach, anything else that just stands out to you as far as looking at the group this year and coming into the playoffs? I know we've all got the same 0-0 records at this point, but as far as like a group or a position that you feel like has improved the most this year?
Well, for us, I mean, definitely our O-line has really picked it up a notch, and they're the ones that had a little bit of experience going into it. Of course, the running back with Gaucher, we knew what we were going to get with him. So we've had some receivers step up. On the defense side of the ball, we had more depth coming back a little bit with our secondary, and those guys have produced some good stuff. But overall, I think the O-line probably is the one that has really done the best. And our kicker, we've got a really good kicker. That is, he was really good last year. He's going to be a junior. He is a junior, and so he's got another year. He was voted all district, kicker and all that stuff. So that's a plus when you have those type of things, and that's what you got to do. We need to put it in the end zone, make them start from the 20 and, and control the ball. Don't turn the ball over and try to shorten the game. And that's what you have to do when you're running this type of offense. So that's what we're trying to strive to do.
Well, Coach, I've taken a good bit of your time already. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you joining us, and we wish you guys a safe trip. And good Lord willing, you only had to come once, not have to turn around and come back the next day. But
Lord, yeah.
We wish you guys the best of luck and safe travels. You and the Lucedale community.
All right, we appreciate you doing this, and we're excited. I mean, we seem like we always have to make this trip here. It seems like so. We're gonna head back over there and see what will happen.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Around for a long time, and Bruce, I kind of look at you as a guy who knows everything that's going on in Lucedale, and of course, you'll be doing a good job with Justin Estes on the call. for the Lucedale Network, part of WRBE 106.9 is where you guys will be broadcasting in for the call Friday night. Bruce, let's just go back to football in general. Playoffs are starting. Any kind of surprises or any teams that you got your eye on? And I'll give you any seed, 4, 5, 6, 7A.
Couple intriguing matchups really on the other side of the bracket, with Hattiesburg and Pearl River Central. Because of what Pearl River Central did last week, knocking off you guys with Picayune and ending that long winning streak. I'm interested to see how they play, if they can put it together for back-to-back weeks. And then obviously Terry and Pascagoula. Terry, a really athletic team, but you and I were talking before we went on the air. Pascagoula just kind of seems to be that team that's finally figured it out. I just think the home teams in this first round, though, have such a big advantage. It's going to take a big effort, including from George County, obviously coming to Picayune, but for any of the road teams to win in 6A South, if I was really having to bet, I would say that's going to be a tough road for them.
It's going to be tough in that conference. You look at the 7A side, the question for us is always, can someone from the South knock off the North?
Right.
But boy, you look at that one, Picayune gets the win over Gulfport. Yeah.
I think if Region 4 7A is going to get multiple teams into the next round, they need to do it this year. And I could see a scenario where 3 out of 4 is a possibility. I think D'Iberville can go to Petal and compete. I think obviously Ocean Springs and Gulfport can win at home. Biloxi, Oak Grove's just a tough place to play. I think that would be a big effort for them. But if the Coast is going to get more than one team out of the first round, they need to do it this year.
Yeah, and we saw Gulfport was able to get that win, and then had Ocean Springs, and they looked like world beaters, and then Gulfport just beats the brakes off Ocean Springs.
Right.
So it's been a tough conference. And I tell you, Bruce, the one that always intrigues me, and it seems like it's been that way for the last couple of years on the 4A side. I mean, you had Louisville knocking off 7A teams a year ago, and now Poplarville only the 3 in
Right.
those playoffs. That's a tough one too.
I knew that, when I saw the matchups of Region 7 and 8 matching up in 4A, I'm like, this is not a good year to be Region 8, because 7A was stacked. When you put a Poplarville in a 3 seed out of that region, things were going to be rough. So kudos to Pass Christian. I thought they would have a struggle with South Pike, and early on they did. I think they wound up winning that game like 52-32. Put up a lot of points, and Pass Christian, historic season, first region title in school history. But to go, I could see Region 7 with Columbia, with Macomb, with Poplarville. You could see a 4A South State matchup out of that region alone.
Yeah, no, really, really good talent that's there. And Bruce, of course, we get to do this again. Did this last year. Always enjoy your time and talking to you. And, I smiled, not because we fixed the cannon, which I'm still hoping we can fix that for you. Cannon's still not operational, but I did smile when I put the film on and I said, look at George County in that I formation. Who is this team? So a different looking offense from your Rebels this year.
We have gone back to the I formation, and it's really a situation, Rick, where personnel just dictated it. We lost so much talent from the skill positions last year. I mean, obviously Deuce Knight, quarterback, moves on to Auburn. At least for now, I don't see him staying there, but that's another story for another time. But the wide receivers that we lost with Moody and those guys, and what they were able to contribute, we knew coming in that Gaucher was going to be a guy that we were going to have to depend on, and that's been the case. I mean, he's had a great year, run for over 1,000 yards. Only played in one quarter last Friday night. Picked up 100 yards rushing in one quarter against Forest Hill. If he had been fully healthy last week, I think that game plays out much more, plays out differently. But we need him to have a big game. And he really kind of broke out as a freshman over at Picayune. We went over there that year, I guess it was 4 years ago, and we're missing a lot of
The
starters and
flu
playing some
game,
young
right?
guys.
Yeah.
And he ripped off about 65 yards there, about the first drive of the game, or 60, 70-yard run. And we were like, okay, who's this kid, just being a freshman. But I think after that, y'all held us to less yards after that play. Our total yards went down after that. But that's where he kind of had his coming out party with that big run against you guys as a freshman.
Yeah, and Gaucher, we know how good he is. Of course, McNair, another one of those names that we all remember from a year ago. And
Yeah.
and I was talking to Clay about this. Bruce, you might can correct me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, in the West Jones playoff win last year, Gaucher and McNair were a couple of guys that kind of stepped up offensively in that game. We knew about Dortch and Moody, but I believe it was McNair that was really like, man, he's standing out on this stat sheet.
Yeah, when you look at it, he's kind of gone from wide receiver 3 to WR1. In the terminology we use today. He, along with Grant Reeves, are really the two guys that we try to get the ball to in space, and find ways. I think that's going to be the key Friday night, Ricky. Is we got to find creative ways to get them the ball in space, regardless of how that might look, and hopefully some new wrinkles coming out of that. But that's going to be it, because I know the last couple of weeks when we were playing teams, it would be 8, 9 guys in the box, because they knew we were going to hand it to Gaucher. And credit to our guys, our offensive line, and to Gaucher, knowing that he still has averaged about 125, 130 yards a game this season.
Yeah, 8, 9 in the box, bro. You're preaching to the choir, my friend. We know all about that.
You guys see it a lot, no doubt.
All about that. You mentioned the Reeves kid. I didn't recognize him in a football jersey, but certainly I did in a
Right.
baseball jersey. And boy, he's a heck of an athlete. He really pops on film on both sides of the ball.
He does. He had stepped away from football and decided to get back, and so he didn't get into the season until I think the Greene County game, and had an immediate impact there. But he's an outstanding athlete, great baseball player. Started as a freshman last year on the George County baseball team, and again, just got to find ways to get him the ball in space from an explosive standpoint. When you look at our stats, passing stats, not outstanding, but he's had some really good ball games, catching the football and making some big plays. And like I said, that's going to be the key. We got to find ways to get he and McNair the ball, and take a little pressure off of Gaucher.
Bruce, looking at it, I mean, change is always tough. I know Coach Ray had been there for a long time, stayed in the AD role. Coach Causey's in. I had a conversation with him a little bit earlier today, but brings back with him Eubanks, comes back over from Clinton, and then Kenny Burns comes over from Greene County. So a couple guys coming back home. How has that been received in the Lucedale community?
Oh, always good to get George County folks back home. And, for those guys, Coach Eubanks, Coach Burns back here, and being a part of this program, and what what they're a part of. And Coach Causey was very adamant about that over the summer, about getting back, because you mentioned turning on the film and watching the I formation, going back to what, at George County, that reputation, that going back to Coach Jones and Hal Holmes, and different, coaches in the past. And the guys really bought into it. We really saw it. It didn't result in a win at Hattiesburg, but we really kind of saw that attitude from the offensive line, and you saw that game, the way we went back and forth and went toe to toe with Hattiesburg, particularly in that first half. But the kids really bought into the system this year. We've just been kind of limited in offensively in what we've been able to do. But when we're able to run the clock and kind of control tempo, we can be a dangerous football team.
And that's the thing too, Bruce. Everybody's in this spread stuff. I get it. This isn't anything that's flashy, but if you get people bought into it, not only is it effective, but if you're on the other side, it is just demoralizing to the defense. When you can't stop somebody, that's not fun at all. I'd much rather somebody throw 3 passes at me instead of three running plays down my throat. It's just tougher, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously Picayune is the perfect example of that to a T. I mean, when you talk about, we were talking about it Tuesday night on our coaches show with Coach Causey. Yeah, and you mentioned 3 downs of running it. Now, hey, 4 downs. I mean, I think you're going to see both teams Friday night. I know George County. They understand they've got to have possession of the ball, and they've got to have drives that end in touchdowns. We can't kick field goals, all those things. A lot of fourth downs. I think anything beyond, say, the 40-yard line, once you get around midfield, I don't think George County is going to hesitate. And I've watched Picayune all these years do the exact same thing. You think you got them stopped, and it's 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, and you're like, the offense is staying out there, and I think you're going to see some of that Friday night, a lot of that Friday night.
Bruce, the last thing I'll ask you just about Spidle, of course, and I said this to Coach Causey, had to step into big shoes, and a young man who's been there and done that a lot for a long time with
Yep.
George County and Deuce Knight. But how have you liked Spidle's progression stepping into this role through the year?
Yeah, I've grown up with the family, so it's Speedall is how they
Speedo.
pronounce
Well,
it. So
thank you for
I'll go
that.
ahead and let you know on that. But
Appreciate that.
yeah, I went to school with some of his family back, so their family's been in George County a long time. But Wyatt, he had a really great game. Stepped in last year in the Hattiesburg game. Threw for I think almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's got to make some plays when you look at it, because it's obviously stepped into, when you look back, Ricky, our last 3 quarterbacks have been Deuce Knight, who's at Auburn, and Ashton Hollins, who got injured in the Picayune game his senior year. He's at Illinois. His brother is Jared Hollins, who was there and then transferred back over to Mobile. He's at South Alabama now. So, that quarterback room for a long time was D1
Yeah.
athletes, and that's not White. I mean, he's not that guy. He is a high school quarterback that his team needs him to just make some plays, very, very similar to what you guys have at quarterback every year. Those guys that when they're called upon, they need to make a play, whether it's a tough quarterback sneak to pick up some yards, hitting that tight end down the seam, or that fullback out of the backfield. If you're asking him to throw it 30, 40 times a game, we're probably in trouble there, but if he can make the big plays when asked to do it, that's kind of what you need to do. I hate to use the term game manager, because that's the popular one to be thrown around, but it does kind of fit in this situation.
Yeah. Bruce, I always enjoy your time, and look forward to catching up with you and Justin on Friday night, man. Wish you guys safe travels, and looking forward to a good game, man. It's playoffs, and everybody just got to come ready, right?
Oh yeah, that's what we talked about this week. I mean, that's what I think this coaching staff has got to really sell that to these kids. It doesn't matter if you're coming into this game 10-0, or in our case 3-7. You got to win 2 games to be playing the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is South State. You got to win 3 games to head to Jackson that first week in December, and your record up to this point doesn't really mean anything. So we got to get over there and play hard. And looking forward to catching up with you guys Friday night. I know y'all got Justin down there on the coast now, working with Coast Electric. He's working with Clay and everything, so he's getting all the feel for that. So I don't know if they got any side bets on the game or not, but we're looking forward to being down there.
Yeah, no, those guys got a really good relationship, and I'll mention this too, Bruce, in closing, just for those in the Loosedale community, if they want to look at our live stream, if they can't get to the game and take it in, and here's the good news: you can turn me and Clay down, turn you and Justin up,
There you
and that
go.
will not hurt our feelings. But if you want to be able to watch the game, we certainly you can find it on the YouTube channel, Talking Ball Y'all page, and we'd encourage you to go watch that if you want to.
No doubt. Yeah, and I think we've let people know that for sure, and we've got our Friday football fix on Friday before we get down there and do all our pregame stuff starting at 5 o'clock. So we definitely remind everybody, because it's a trip that we make on a regular basis, but it never gets any closer heading over to Picayune. But we always look forward to getting over there and running into you guys, and looking forward to it again Friday night.
You right, man. It's the same thing we say on our side. There just ain't no easy way to get there, right?
That's right. For sure.
Yeah. All right,
So,
well, thanks
man,
a
I
lot,
appreciate
Breeze.
it though. Looking forward to it. And again, man, thanks for having me on this week. And you guys, we'll look forward to seeing y'all Friday night.
I appreciate it, Bruce. Thank you.
You are welcome.